Welcome to William Steele, True Crime, Steele Spotlight Television. Guys, we have a follow up to last week's show that you're not going to believe. We do a lot of exposés in crime prevention here. We only do them when we have the truth, the proof, the evidence, and people willing to come forward. Sometimes we don't have people willing to come forward. Like we're going to be covering a case of some unsolved murders here shortly, probably today or in the next few days. Additional cases of unsolved homicides. So sometimes, when the dead are not around, they have to have somebody else to have them speak. And so it's really been on my heart to do more of those shows. Ignacio as well, Mary. So we're going to do a follow up to last week's show, which we'll call part 1. We didn't really intend to do a deeper dive. We didn't really intend to do a series, but and I don't feel the need to respond to any of the spurious, incorrect, falsified, juvenile accusations that have come my way, Ignacio's way, and Mary's way, Mary being my fiance. So we did an expose on Steven Gillen from the UK. I guess he grew up in Belfast. He had a troubled past. He had some violence, some prison time. He puts himself out there like another William Steele or Sean Atwood or one of us who done time and are doing positive things to try to help people by sharing our past, our experiences, our outlook. And we're some of us are not only just telling the stories, we're also trying to put together movies and documentaries, and we're in the mix. So for myself, I have a reality show on A&E Network. My show is massively successful. If I could find this mouse, I will show you something on the screen here. But guys, if things seem a little slow going at times, with my show, keep in mind I was locked up 18 years for a nonviolent crime. So before you ridicule anything about what I'm doing, realize where I've been. Offer help first before you ridicule. Remember where somebody's been. I never even used the internet before I got locked up. There was no social media, there was no smartphones, there was no hashtags. I'm pretty damn good at all of them now. But this other things where there's been hiccups. So here's my show for everybody in the UK to want to know who I am. I'm Bill from Inmate to Roommate on A&E Network. It's about getting out of prison after a long time, living with a family who's not your own. Became the second highest rated reality show in the United States. Prior to that, I was a law clerk in prison for many, many years in 3 different states. Worked in prison law libraries, helping people with post-conviction relief and appeals. I'm not an attorney, but you're allowed to help them with research and help them draft papers, help them submit packets to the Innocence Project to try to get them released. There's a lot of BS people in prison that lie and come to you for help. Well, in the real world, we have that problem too. It's just that people put on this facade of respectability or transformed life. And guys like me and Ignacio, my co-host, retired ATF agent, and Mary, a fraud examiner, certified civilian fraud examiner, not law enforcement, can see right through it. Some of us have had trouble in the past with our backgrounds. Some, like me, very well justified. I made some mistakes, poor choices. I dabbled in the wrong thing, and it got in over my head on a lot of other things. Other people were completely innocent and still might have a conviction or a minor fleck on their record because of building racketeering cases against other people. So you have people that try to get on the show by fraud and tell me that they've been entrapped and wrongfully imprisoned and all that stuff, like Dr. Scholl, who tried to kill 3 people. We're going to be doing a series of exposés. And we're not going to stop because the truth is always on our side. And I'm not trying to give anybody a hard time. But when you're in my orbit or you're victimizing vulnerable people, I'm going to try to find a way to do a show about it, provided I have the evidence and the proof of what's going on. And in this case, Steven Gillen, in my opinion, victimized Ignacio Esteban, a very good man, retired federal law enforcement, with a contract that he has not followed through on. He's involved himself with a woman that I don't know very well, Daphne. So I'm going to let Ignacio explain her role. But I do know Liz Coppola, who he affiliates with, and we've done an expose about her as well. So no one here is picking on women, but there are plenty of women swindlers and criminals and women that benefit from the crimes of men. And it looks good, and you're flying around the world in a jet, and you have somebody's borrowed Rolls Royce and all this nonsense. I know the game. Okay, we to some degree we all play it. But when you're taking money from good people while saying that you're a reformed criminal, you give guys like me, Sean Atwood, Michael Francesi, guys that have a legitimate background, a legitimate turnaround story, and are not trying to rip anybody off by the other projects we're getting involved with. When you're like Steven Gillen, and there seems to be other people starting to come out of the woodwork. Maybe some people in the UK are still feel fearful of him and his connections. I don't know. I wish him nothing but the best. I wish he would have a genuine turnaround story. He treated me like crap a long time ago when I first got out. I have far more numbers than him. I have tens of millions of fans. He's a drop in the bucket. Yet he treated me like I needed to pay him to go on his show. He treated me like, I was somebody he couldn't have the bother to have the time to get back to. Well, guess what? I'm in a movie next month, Silent Partners. We're rolling into filming several more, including a drama series about my life. 2 networks offer me my own reality show because of the amount of fans I have. On TikTok, all across the board, not just on my channels, views on other people's channels as well, including recently. I'm approaching 45 million views and about 5 million on YouTube on multiple channels, not just on mine. So don't misrepresent how I'm putting this. But Ignacio's written about 85 books. He's been retired, I don't know, 2 years from federal law enforcement. He stands up for crime victims. He stood up to the corruption in Fresno by helping us tell that story and bringing it to light. He stands up for the wrongfully incarcerated when he knows they're in the right. Case of Rodney
Burks.
Bardo, the guy in Texas. I'm sorry, I have a Lamar Burks, excuse me, guys. So Lamar Burks, set up by a corrupt DEA agent who's now in prison. Guess what? Ignacio looked into the facts. Even though he's former law enforcement, he's about the truth. He said, if somebody's in prison wrongfully, I'll get involved and, and contribute to at least the shining a spotlight on the case. So he's done that with David Reinhardt also. We've showed him some stuff and the amount of time David has. He's in Soledad prison. So Ignacio is a good guy. He's not out here to scam anybody. Despite my past of over 20 years ago, I'm not out here to scam anybody. And Steven Gillen calls me a sofa surfer. Well, I don't know. I've got a ton of projects underway, and I've been out, I don't know, just about 3 years. I think he's been out, 2 decades? I'm not even sure how long he's been out, but we're going to bring Ignacio on. We're going to give you some updates and the horrific comments that this man made. They're not even horrific. They're laughable.
Stupid.
Because he's just grasping at straws. Steven, get yourself together, man. We wish you the best. Turn your life around. Help people. Offer an apology to people. Make things right. We do have other people in contact. So let's bring Ignacio back on. If I can bring him back on with me. Because I'm so for surfing, Steven. I'm so for surfing. So it's hard to work this thing when I'm so for surfing.
There you are. The Silver Surfer. That's what I call you, the Silver Surfer.
Sorry to go a little long, but I wanted the audience to really get caught up.
Made some good points there, Bill. A lot of things there. I mean, you know what the saying is? The truth hurts. Mm-hmm. The truth hurts every time, and there's no rebuttal for truth. So what you do? You put smoke and mirrors. You distract. You throw something else out there. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Let's point it the other way. Let's find something else. And that took some balls, audacity to go on my Facebook page. I had the show there. I had the links there. He goes there, and he puts in there that was slanderous. What I put there, slanderous. Steven, we have a contract together, right? We have a contract here. You signed it, Steven, right here. Steven Gillen, your signature on it. And like I read it before, the key of this contract was it was nice to do a 3-part series that you want to do a 3-part. You gave me one out of 3, and then you blew me off the next 2. And then it says here for service providers. This is the most important here. I'm not going to pay you 10,000 British pounds, $12,000 because I'm a writer. Like I said in my own videos, I write myself. I've done screenplays. I have a final draft. I like to write. I've written a lot. You know how many articles on Medium I have written? 90 articles on Medium. That's impressive in less than 6 months. 90 articles. I just finished my 90th article called Ganja for Guns in the Caribbean. Fascinating reading there. Case I was working and stuff like that. I decided to talk about that between the Jamaicans and the Haitians exchanging ganja for weaponry coming through, and they had Haitian embargo. But that's another story we can talk about at another time there. Fascinating read there. If you go to Medium, check me out. Check Bill's articles too. Bill, we got 3 in there too in Medium.
Yeah, I don't know. One disappeared somehow.
Oh, okay. So we
Again,
got you.
again,
We'll,
technologically,
we'll find it, get you back there on track. But this is the
I'm,
most important
I'm,
language right here.
I'm
This is a
technologically.
contract that was reviewed by my attorney. This was a contract, and his was a boilerplate, Bill. This is, be careful with RMC. If you have a boilerplate, my attorney said, this is, he said, we have to put a timeline here because there was no timeline. So if I didn't put the timeline, I might not even gotten the script. And then on top of that, with Toby Osborne, the writer he brought me from Toronto, an award-winning writer, no qualms there. He then was trying to say, well, you know what? I think you have to pay me a little more because I got to pay him some extra money. I said, no, Steven, this isn't included in the contract. This is the bottom line. And then later, I think he was upset that I want to be also executive producer. Imagine that. I want to be upset in my own project, be executive producer. He wants to take all that and leave me where. What do you think this is? Even though I'm new to this, I wasn't born last night. I'm born at night, but not last night. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think I've even seen. I don't even think I've seen a show other than ones you did together with him where he mentions you. For example, when I'm collaborating with somebody, I mention them on virtually all my shows, like Louis B, former mafia detective. We're dear friends. I'm
That's the right thing to do.
Peter Tickton is Donald Trump's attorney, so
Right.
he's on my show all the time. Oh, by the way, Trump's going to pardon all the people from J6 unless they were the ones that were involved in violence.
Violence. Yeah.
Right. So we have some very prominent people that we collaborate with. Some of them are just friends. Some of them, compensate occasionally or donate. But I always remember to mention them on my shows. This guy, he's all about himself.
He's about, he promotes a lot? His book, and that he's doing a project, and this is what's going on. He does another book about his life. I'm not going to say the title because it's kind of a ridiculous title in my opinion. This is the most important here. In exchange for what I paid and the service, this is what's most important. Not about the writer, not because I'm a writer and I write a lot, and you can see I'm a good writer and I'm very creative, and I've been writing screenplays also, and I do with other people. Service provided will complete a pitch deck. You've seen the pitch deck. Wasn't very good. You're using pictures that are not yours. It's not original work there. I had some issues with it, especially with old actors that don't fit the modern day genre. I'm not used to Stallone, who's 75 years old. Penelope Cruz is in her 50s. Well, this happens all. This is a role for somebody in the 30s and maybe 40s if you want to do 40s, but mostly a lot of this happened in the 30s. It's not going to have a 60-year-old who's going to infiltrate violent gangs in Central Florida, right? What is he thinking putting that stuff there? So it wasn't very good. I didn't like it, and we saw some typos, some errors, some other things in there which I didn't like either. An important thing is engage with studios, right? Production teams, investors, and plan in-house, because he does in-house productions too. He said, "Oh, I do a lot of in-house productions, Iggy. I can do this and that." You make a lot of product. He calls me Iggy, and he has that British accent. And then he goes, in-house co-production of project and route to marketing. Wow. And then it unravels where he says, well, we might have to do another contract for this. I might need some more money for this. No. This was all signed. And my attorney said he promised X, Y, and Z, and he's not delivering. And then he blows you off. And a 3-part series, very disappointing on that too. So only got 1 out of 3. When you say your word means a lot, to me, this reeks of a scam. To me, this is wrong. This is not what you do. If this is a redemption story, it's a redemption hoax. This is a redemption hoax. It's a false story because you're doing the wrong thing. It's happening to me, and I'm a retired ATF agent with 21 years and 26 years and 5 with customs. Be careful those out there. If you have any issues, if you've gone with Steven Gillen from the UK, feel free to reach out to me on my Facebook page, Ignacio Esteban. Reach out to Bill if you want also. We can talk more about this and show people that this guy is not just about having an issue with me. It's having issues with a lot of people that's going on here and other things going on. I know that you and Mary have found out too. But a couple of things on the page they refer to, I want to clear for the record. When he went to my UP page, I don't know what he's talking about bullying women. I have no idea. I don't bully women. I never have. I'm not a cyber bully. That's the garbage he puts out there. Paid in full, 100% paid in full. I paid ahead of time. I wish I would only paid half, and then maybe I wouldn't have lost the other part because he wouldn't have completed. But he said he was a man of his word. He said, Iggy, be honorable and tell what happened. Steven, be honorable yourself and reimburse me the money. Do the right thing. I'm okay you keeping a little bit, the part that you kept with the screenplay writer, but the rest comes back to me because you didn't comply with the contract. And no, I'm not talking about illegal bills either that I have to pay. Take down the king. Yes, that's what I wrote there. You see his name there, co-writer with Toby Osborne from Toronto. That was for a pilot for a screenplay for a TV series, which I think would have been good also. But I did my own Broken Crowns and others that I decided to do differently on my own. And, it's have other things too going out there, which I'm looking with different companies. And that's my book there, ATF Undercover, also available on Audible there based on my life. You can find it on Amazon. Disappointing. And I didn't like that he called you guys losers. That bothers me because the only loser is him. Only a loser does that. Instead of dealing with the truth and saying, Iggy, I'm sorry. I apologize. My bad. For whatever reason, my bad. I'm better than this. I'm a better man than this. I claim to be reformed. I'm better at this. Here we go. Let me do you right and reimburse me. We're not going to do business anymore because I can't trust you. Once you do me wrong like this, there's no going back. There's no trust anymore. Once you break that, I will never do business with you because you know what? It can happen again. And that's on me. I've learned this never again with Steven Gillen.
I neglected to mention, I'll remind me after the show to go over to some of these media outlets, especially we have a few from the UK reaching out that want to see some documents and they want to interview us. So let me get to Mary's statement.
Let's
now, my fiance is a forensic accountant, and she was called a loser and had been arrested for what he falsely accused you of. Fraud. So Mary's never been arrested for fraud, and I'm going to put on my reading glasses and show my age here because I can't read this.
We can't see it.
I'm going to read it while it's on the screen. Public statement in response to Steven Gillen's claims, false claims. So I'm reading this on behalf of Mary, can't join us today.
Okay.
So my name is Mary Bass. I'm a forensic accountant and a senior level data scientist with a long-standing professional reputation built on integrity and the truth. I'm writing to firmly refute the baseless defamatory claims made by Steven Gillen. To address Gillen's accusations, I was not arrested for fraud 3 years ago or at any other time. The irony here is glaring. Steven Gillen himself is the perpetrator, allegedly of multiple frauds, but it's also evidenced by multiple publicly available records and by her professional analysis, by Mary's professional analysis. In a recent interview, and I'm reading as Mary, I presented documentation from the company's house proving that Steven Gillen and his business partner, Daphne DeLucci, are actively working to dissolve two of their jointly owned businesses. So if this and Liz are the women he's referring to, this is Bill speaking again, we're simply telling the truth from the public record and our experiences in our case with Liz Coppola, okay, which, she's been off the radar for probably 2 years now. And she needs to really stay that way. We were about to take other action, legal action. But for some reason, Gillen doesn't do his due diligence and look into who these people actually are, especially when it comes to that other individual I just mentioned. So in recent interview, Mary, presented documentation from Companies House, which is a UK way of saying, I guess the people who register businesses and all that, which proves that Steven Gillen and his business partner, Daphne DeLucci, are actively working to dissolve two of their jointly owned companies, Roar Media Creative Limited and Diversity City Entertainment. So, they want to get all the catchphrases in there.
Yeah, Bill, that's a company I signed with right there with a contract with his name on it, Roar Media Creative, RMC. And that's also I worked with Daphne DeLucci with the deck, which again, I said wasn't very good. And a lot of people have reviewed it, and I think they agreed also.
Listen, I edit books and write books as part of what I do for a living now. And there was run-on sentences, misspellings. There was, in this country anyway, the illegal use of celebrities, A-list celebrity photographs. And you mentioned something that we love these celebrities, from back in the day. They made great movies. They're still making movies. However, they're not appropriate. And one, they were used illegally. It tries to lend the appearance that either they know them or that they back your projects, both of which are not accurate. So if you, Stallone, if you want to back his project, and you got somebody that's got your
reach me out on Facebook, Ignacio Esteban, Sly.
There you go, Sylvester Stallone. We love your work.
And so if you like go shooting guns, got a lot of guns, but go shoot. I know you like your guns too.
Yes, and that's based upon his experience as an ATF agent. We don't promote violence here. This is an entertainment and breaking news show and investigative journalism. And
it's all for trained purposes and practicing.
Right, because you never know when you're going to upset the algorithm, right? So Mary continues. This action follows a pattern of questionable business practices, including the promotion of a cryptocurrency called Flowcoin with an O, not a W.
Mm,
Flowcoin,
mm.
which, in my professional opinion, speaking as Mary again, raises numerous red flags and strongly suggests fraudulent activity. And if you look at the value of it, after the decimal point, it has numerous zeros before it even gets to a number.
It's a pennies, huh?
Underneath the penny.
Yeah.
So Mary's critique of Flowcoin is grounded in facts and supported by financial analysis, not conjecture, including him associating again with A-list celebrities saying that they're backing this. What's his name? Channing Tatum, his people claim no knowledge of this. So we don't know what's going on there. We're still trying to get to the bottom of it. You're more than welcome to come on, Steven. You can come on the show and clarify all of these things. You're more than welcome. You know about 20 different ways to reach me or Ignacio, or Channing Tatum, or any one of these people that he's claiming to be affiliated with. So she bases her by evidence, facts, financial analysis, not conjecture. Again, Mary says, it appears that Gillen, unable to refute these facts from our last show, has resorted to attacking myself, my fiance, William Steele, yours truly, and our colleague, retired ATF Special Agent Ignacio Esteban,
Yes.
who
Low blows, low shots.
He's a pretty good dude. He puts up with my nonsense and silliness and my war stories from the past because I tell him to try to help people today. But so this is not this is not only unprofessional on your part, Stephen, is what she's saying, but also transparently bitter behavior stemming from our expose highlighting this abysmal, Gillen's abysmal business practices, which appear evident from the documents. William Steele, me, is not sofa surfing. This, Steven Gillen, is a juvenile and baseless assertion unworthy of further comment, Mary says.
Hey, Bill, we can't see the next page.
Okay, I'm going to throw it up right here. See, that's what I like. Help when I screw up. Steven, offer some help once in a while. You'd go further in life rather than ridicule. All right, so we're on page 2. So Ignacio Esteban's impeccable reputation as retired ATF agent speaks for itself and cannot be tarnished by the likes of Steven Gillen, who appears to be delving back into illegal and questionable activity just from what we're seeing. So solicitors and summonses and all these threats you've made, we welcome it. We would love to interview your solicitor. We love the British people. I have tons of fans over there. So let's see. Mary says, calling factual critiques of Daphne DeLucci's business activities bullying simply because she's a woman is disingenuous and a diversion tactic, Stephen.
Yes.
Critiquing fraudulent business practice is not bullying. It is holding people accountable. Okay.
And Bill, let me pause you. And this is what we're doing with Steven. We're holding him accountable, and I don't want other people to get drawn in. If they have been, let local authorities know, let your attorneys know, let us know. I think it's important for your local authorities, and maybe Scotland Yard out there in the UK, Interpol, Europol, maybe here DOJ, to look at his practices, because it's not just me, because he has a pair of, like I said earlier, to do this to a guy who's retired, DOJ, knowing who I am and thinking you can get away with this. No, there's one way to skin a cat, and this is another way to expose what you are, a redemption hoax.
Well, he has a lot of contempt for law enforcement anyway, it seems like, from previous comments. But I get it with his past lifestyle. But if you're going to change, then you support the blue. You just don't support the ones who are corrupt. But guess what? Ignacio's straight as they come, retired at the top of his game. So why would you try to scam somebody like him? He's got contacts all over the world in law enforcement. It's just ridiculous. And I'm not saying you did scam him. Maybe you got amnesia and forgot what your contract said. But I think him and his lawyer reminded you numerous times what he said.
They did. So, and gave him a chance to do it in a professional manner. To let's do this so it doesn't get like this. So it doesn't look like this. And this is what it looks like when you blow us off.
I have tried to take the middle of the road on this, but I've heard you explaining this to us for, I don't know, a year and a half or more now. And we were always like, look, whenever you're ready to do a show, as long as you come correct, as long as you come correct with the contract, the letters, the signatures, the proof, the litigation, I'm more than happy to put it on, Ignacio. We don't do each other favors here, because I have a questionable background myself. So now she wants to know what I'm putting up on here is legit. Just like when he comes with something serious like this against another public figure, we need to know it's correct. And it's correct. We've looked over the documents. We got to know Ignacio. We know this is in litigation, and we know you're doing nothing about it to resolve it, other than thinking you'll get away with it because guess what? You're on the other side of the pond.
Yeah,
So
he
it
is.
doesn't make a difference. It's only a body of water, and there's laws that affect you and us both ways.
Yeah.
So Mary goes on to say, um, she says, I would also like to warn consumers about Gillen's latest adventure, an educational system for men branded as the Resilience Code, created by Daphne DeLucci. This system only testimonial comes from Gillen himself, a dubious endorsement at best, in my opinion, especially given what's been coming out about him. So, notably, the website for Roar Media Creative, a business tied to Gillen and DeLucci, has been taken offline. The website's offline, guys.
Oh, okay.
So,
Good to know.
and this is current as of today, I believe, right? It's still offline, further raising suspicions about the legitimacy of their operations. Now, did he fall into financial hard times and having trouble bringing these projects to fruition? I think Ignacio is the kind of guy that if that was going on, he explained it to him, he might have been a little more patient. But I think he's been patient for a year and a half.
No, it's
Because,
been 2.5 years.
right.
July of 2022. This should have been already pitched and done by early 2023. And that's when things started really. It was excuse after excuse. And then all of a sudden, crickets had to get the attorneys involved. Then some responses denying there was a timeline. Yes, there's a timeline there. You had 9 months to do this. If not, I wouldn't have waited 3, 4, 5. Doesn't make sense. That's if you have common sense, then you'll realize we're not going to spend that kind of money and sit there for 4 or 5 years. You think you get to do something, maybe you go away. No, you had 9 months to do it. You got the screenplay writer, but what happened with all the other stuff? What happened with the promotions? What happened getting the team together in production? That's what I paid for. I didn't pay Steven for you to blow me off. This is why people need to know about this company and about you.
Right. Have we found out? I'm not sure about this. Are they actually married or a couple? The two of them? Is it even relevant to this?
I think they were a couple. They're a couple. Other than that, I don't know.
The reason I ask is because a lot of women fall for the bad guy image, and he's a very convincing. Maybe he does have quite the reputation in London, but Stephen, the only thing I could hope for is that you truly turn your life around and help people instead of BSing people and taking their money from good people. Because then, like I
Well, you
said,
need to move over more. I only see a little bit of your face.
yeah, I'm trying to avoid like okay, so I only wear glasses on one eye. See,
There we go. There you go. That's better.
anyway, so they're reading glasses. All right, so let me finish up her statement. So this is a statement from Mary Bass, my fiance. So the website, Steven Gillen's website for Raw Media Creative has been taken offline. We don't know why, but it raises further suspicion about the legitimacy of their operations. In conclusion, Steven Gillen's attempt to deflect attention from his own failures and questionable activities through slandering Ignacio, myself, and Mary, will not succeed.
No.
The facts remain, and Mary says she stands by them, as do we and myself and Ignacio. Consumers, investors, and the public at large should be wary of associating with Gillen, his partner, Daphne DeLucci, and their ventures. And she says the truth will always prevail. Mary Bass, marybass.com, if you want to know more about Mary. And
the truth always hurts, Bill. The truth
and all
always
my books, and all my books, I write them. They have kind of salacious titles, but
Yep.
one of them was written with the editor and writer from the National Enquirer, my dear friend Gary Greenberg. So hence the title of the Durst book. But in all of them in the beginning, they're written with the point of view of crime victim advocacy. I may have known these people, but here's what the public maybe needs to know, doesn't know, and I support the victims. And in all the beginning of all my books, every one of them, I put all that's needed for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
Yeah.
So you might have other people that this has happened to, Stephen, and they're afraid of you because of your reputation, or they're afraid of you. They're afraid of you maybe digging up a little bit of dirt on them. Who doesn't have dirt and skeletons, Stephen? It's juvenile. It's like teenage behavior to just strike back and say, oh, somebody has a fake fraud conviction. Oh, William Steele is couch surfing. Well, maybe I am. I put on a few pounds.
And call you guys a bunch of losers and saying that we're bullying women. And by the way, everything was paid in full ahead of time. What he hasn't done his part. He owes me what you owe me, or at least be a man and apologize.
He falsely accuses you of not paying for anything. I mean, you have the proof that you've paid for his
Yeah,
services.
paid in full. Had the contract. Had my attorneys, and had everything done. We did it. We dot our you know, you think you have a good contract. You dot your I's and cross your T's that this will be done right with this guy. But you know, that was my reservation with him. And we mentioned before, when you have someone that kind of background, he has a violent criminal background. He told me his story. It's on the shows, and you think, man, should I deal with this guy? What? And then when you do, he seemed nice. We talked for a while. We did this part, and then to do this, be careful, folks. Do not do business with this guy. Do not trust this guy. This is my opinion. This is my experience. What I went through. I have the signed contract, and my attorney's in the bill. Steven Gillen thinks a big name. He bragged to me that he's been on the BBC and all these Sun and everything else. He's had billions of viewers. Billions of viewers think that he's won all these awards. It's a mindset, a redemption fraud, redemption hoax. You don't do this kind of stuff like this in contract and writing and say, you know what, I'm not going to promote and do everything we're supposed to, because you know what, I didn't need your writers. I write myself, Steven. I write myself. I did not need that. I need you to promote your content if you had any in production company. I needed that to go to the next level. He didn't want me to be executive producer. They didn't like. Can you imagine that? My project, my idea, my everything. Oh, I don't want you as executive producer. And by the way, you might have to pay some more money to Toby Osborne, the writer. I said, no, it was one nonsense after another. And you know what? That's all documented. And I have a lot of emails with him too, and messaging on Facebook also.
In my opinion, those are the words and the movements and the behavior of somebody who still wants to be a kingpin and intimidate people into submission rather than a team player, and respecting his partners, which is you, respecting the people that bring money to the table, which was you. He gets the money and then wants to move on and intimidate you out of doing anything. That's the mark of a gangster, not of a reformed criminal.
No, and anybody's a professional, decent human being, an honorable man. He said, you can also be an honorable person. Well, Iggy, well, guess what, Steven? You be an honorable person. You be an honorable man and do the right thing. Do the right thing and apologize.
I put myself in his shoes to the degree, like, I know he's watching this. Hello, Steven. I'm not on the couch. Not at the moment.
Not surfing.
And I'm thinking, we're so far apart, but this guy is seething and wishes, oh, does he know what I could do to him? This blimey Yank. You know, I like to put my hands around it. You know, if I was the old Steven, I'm not trying to provoke you. Believe me, that's the last thing I'm looking for is problems with you or anybody else, brother. All I'm saying is do the right thing. You don't understand how personal this is to me. Yeah, I'm on a similar path. You've been out way longer than me, and all you've done is ridicule and try to get money out of me, knowing in the beginning I was in a struggling stage. I told you I had numerous shows coming up. You know, you and your team just try to take more money from me, you know, take money from me to be on your show for what? To you tell the same stories, old stories over and over again. So
at least with our show, Steven, we do current events. We do things that matter. We talk about relevant things, how people can improve their lives, home improvement to keep themselves safe from home invaders. I mean, we do a lot of important things that people can use. We've had people reach out to us, say, man, I really enjoy information. It made a difference. I mean, those are nice things to get. And I've been getting a lot of responses from different people saying, you know, unfortunately, the entertainment business is full of snakes and ladders, right? And we're seeing a perfect example of what's going on here. Snakes and ladders.
Now that's Peter. He's not a snake. That's the lawyer you want between you and your problems. 68-year friend. 68 years he's been friends.
I've talked to Peter. Yeah, nice guy.
He's been friends with Donald Trump, and I won't tell him the discussions we've been having lately. But this is going to get interesting if you.
Good for him. Good for him.
If you think it won't.
I hope he can become the ambassador, like we said. I hope he can ambassador. That'd be nice.
Well, I can't say, you know, publicly or where this
unofficially.
Anyway,
but back to Steven.
I take more comments from Steven. I take it personal because he attacked my woman for no reason whatsoever, put a false allegation out there about her, called her name like a little I'm in the schoolyard. Well, you might have been a tough guy back in the day, but where I come from, you don't talk crap about a woman unless you have some kind of proof. And even then, a man keeps that to himself. I mean,
and what's he doing? He's bullying Mary. He's cyberbullying Mary now. He's doing the things. He's doing the things that he said we're doing, but no, he's the one that's cyberbullying Mary. He is defaming and slandering us. He's calling us names. When we were professional and we call him out on the facts, on a contract. I did my homework. I gave you an extra year. And this is what we get. We get this kind of action. There I am right there. and he knows I'm the real deal. He knows I've been successful with the case. I put people like him away, Bill, for many years. ATF, they put guys away with guns and violence, which what he's involved with bank heists and other. I don't know what else he was involved in. He's told me these stories and he's talked about it with his book and everything else. For 15, 25, 30 life, right? This is what I did for a living. And I don't back down anybody. You do me wrong, I'm going to find another method. Okay, you're out there and you're hiding over there and you don't want to deal with this. Guess what? You can't hide from this. Public court of opinion is going to know so they can protect themselves from a scam. And this is not a legitimate business practice. You don't take people's money. You gave me a little bit here and not finish with the closing, which I need you to promote the project with your contact. Maybe you don't have any more contacts. I don't know. You claim that you have this big book deal that was a bestseller that's going to become a movie, but maybe not. We'll see.
Yep. So this is what Manasio was talking about. He retained Steven Gillen to help promote it, put it together. Evidently, he's happy with the screenplay. I think he worked in collaboration with a gentleman that was introduced.
Toby Osborne.
So we give him shout out. Nobody's coming after him or saying he's bad news. But
I've written another one, Bill, Broken Crowns, and you know what I'm done there. That's a show I did with him. If you want to see the show, go check the show. I'll get some laughs out of that. That's the one I did with William Gillen. We talked about current events, El Chapo and stuff like that, narco cases and everything else. But, you know, it just, you know, you're like, you wear two masks. I said, you showed your true colors. You showed your true colors, by the way. And I respond to it. Go check out my Facebook page, folks, Ignacio Esteban, and look how I respond. Go find the video that we did and look how I respond directly to Steven Gillen to these falsely slanderous allegations against us. Shameful, slanderous allegations. We're not losers. We're not bullying. We're not doing anything that's wrong. That's what he's doing. The problem with him is he didn't fulfill his part of the contract. And I'm willing to bet if anyone else out there in the same situation, please reach out to us or reach out to your local authority. And they have to look into this kind of behavior. Maybe people in the UK are looking at this. Investigators, I think it's a good time to look into it. Maybe Scotland Yard.
That being said, we're going to wrap this particular episode. We may roll into something else here. Some breaking news has come up. So let me sign off. Ignacio, anything further to add?
Just be careful. Be leery. Even with a contract and that, you do your homework. You do like I did. I did my due diligence. I needed the homework. I had a contract, had my attorneys involved. Even with all that, you still have guys who want to hide. And it's difficult when you're dealing with those in other countries. It makes it a little bit more challenging because you have British laws and you have laws here. Just be careful, but hold their feet to the fire. And if you want to reach out to us, please reach out to us. We'll be more happy to tell your story.
Interestingly, I noticed he was up in Canada, I think about a year ago, maybe less, maybe he goes back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all part of like the UK system, you know, wonderful people, our neighbors to the north. I have relatives that are Canadian. But the thing about this is he also claims Monaco and ties to Monaco, very, very wealthy, you know, section of the country. And so we're really concerned about what he's up to in Monaco and who is
the French Riviera,
who he's got on the hook over there, right? So it's
there's more coming, folks. We're gonna have another follow-up because it's not gonna go away, and we're gonna keep you posted. This is not gonna be a series, and we're gonna keep just like we do with Bucky's, just like anything else. We're gonna keep you posted what's going on here because I know him because I dealt with him a lot, and it looks like we know what's going on. He's the type of guy, he gets the best of him and he lashes out and he's going to keep on coming back because that's all he can do. So we're going to keep on dealing and we're going to expose him. Professionals who are legit do not act this way.
No. And I've been in prison with plenty of guys who claim to turn their life around and on the street. A lot of it's all talk, and they get so angry when they're confronted with the truth. And this is how they respond. And then they resort to the intimidation game by trying to, you know, go after you, make false claims. And, you know, and then his very polite salutation that he puts out, you know, hello to all my wonderful people out there, or some nonsense like that. I'm like, and then launches into a series of demonstrable lies about
my gosh,
you and Mary. Dude, act like a grown man who's turned his life around and not a teenage girl. God bless you, Steven Gillen. We hope you turn your life around and really start helping people.
We'll keep an eye on you, though. We'll be keeping an eye on things, Steve.
We're more than happy to cover your story and how you resolve this, whether it's through litigation or apologies or whatever, reimbursement. I'm not looking for a penny from anybody. I'm not making a penny doing this. My reputation means
Steve, apologize to you, to me, and your fans.
This means a lot to me because I'm on a similar path that you're on. And so it goes to people maybe not wanting to do business with guys like us because of guys like you. This is why it's personal to me. And it's personal to me because you attacked my girl for no reason. You attack Ignacio, though I've seen the facts. He's not lying. You are.
Yeah.
God bless.
Folks, very, very disappointing what Steven Gillen has done and said on my Facebook page, comments he's made, after bringing attention to what he's done with a failed contract that we had. He did not live to his part of the agreement. He failed to live to his part of the agreement. It is clear. I mean, he was supposed to provide a script. Is something that I had done, and I signed with him. I was kind of hesitant, very reluctant. I saw him on Facebook through mutual friends. I decided to reach out. He had a company called RMC, Roar Media Creative, out of London, Ltd. I said maybe, but I looked at his background. With my background in law enforcement, 26 years of federal law enforcement, 21 with ATF, 5 with U.S. Customs, an impeccable career, put down a lot of bad people, arrested them, incarcerated for lengthy time. And someone who did 17 years, you never know. And I said, well, 17 years involved in violent crime, bank heists, police shootings. He saw his shows. He said some things. He told me I wasn't sure what to think. But he won awards, peace awards. He's changed himself. You know, we want to give people benefit of the doubt, redemption. I did. Reluctantly, I did. He seemed like a nice guy. We had a lot of calls. I met his other partner, Daphne DeLucci. I dealt with her. Not very happy with the product, not very happy with the time. But the good thing is I had a boilerplate contract. Didn't have any timelines. So I decided, my wife, we talked about it, got an attorney involved, and we went through it, and we added times in there to accomplish certain things. Certain timeline to get the script done, certain timeline to get it out and start meeting with, the key was here, because I'm a writer myself. Those who don't know, I have written close to 80 books on Amazon, mostly short reads, some medium, some long reads. I do a lot of articles on medium.com. I've written close to 90 articles and counting, from law enforcement, true crime, current events, all organized crime, all different topics. They're done very well, have thousands of readers, which is great. It's another way to get your work out there. I recommend that 100%. But when I signed the contract, the key was I could have done my own script. I didn't have to pay 10,000 British pounds, which is over $12,000. I did it in 4 parts, but I could have done this myself. The only thing to do is give me a decent writer. His name was Toby Osborne, did a great job. We collaborated together with Steven. That part was fine. The other part that was a problem, and I'm making it clear, and of course I paid everything in full, and he's responding, instead of having paid everything full, I paid everything full. There's never issues with any other things. He's fabricating stuff that is not true. And the people I've done shows with, William Steele and Mary Bass, are not losers. They're not the lowest form of people. They're decent people who've also got their lives turned around like allegedly he did. And I'm working a show with them. And it's shameful that he goes to name calling with them, with me, false allegations. He says I'm defaming his character, and he's doing it to me, because the truth is on my side. Everything happened is truthful. And Steven, and you know it. In the contract, my attorney that's engaged with you says it will complete the pitch deck to industry high standards, which it was not. It was not, because there were issues with that deck out there, and I had other people review it. And of course, when using other people's pictures, it wasn't original work, and it's my product. You know, I can't use that. I don't feel comfortable using someone else's work when you're taking other people's pictures and you put it on my deck that way. I don't feel good with that. Of other actors, they really didn't fit, really. Older actor, bigger name back then, like Sylvester Stallone, Penelope Cruz, other different actors and actresses, that they really weren't a good fit, because I did this work in 30s and 40s, and they're now in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. So that wasn't a good fit there. Engage with studio production, engage with studios. He never did that. That was the most important thing, his contacts. Engage with studios, their production teams, investors, and if we couldn't find investors, we couldn't find production teams, then do it yourself, an RMC, and in-house co-production of the project and route to marketing. I got none of that. None of that. That's what I expected. That's what professionals do when you sign contracts
That's what you do, Steven, at RMC, Roar Media Creative. That's a big problem. And that was, back, I said, signed in July of 2022. Given the benefit of doubt, 2023 came around. Things were getting done. It's not good. Everything was, it wasn't a good time. It's, Iggy, this is not a good time. He calls me Iggy. Iggy, this is not a good timing. This ain't good timing. It's a holidays or this. There's always an excuse for we're not going to do it. Same with the series. He also promised to do a 3-part series. A 3-part series on his true crime channel, Steven Gillen. That didn't happen. He did 1. We did 1. Not 2, not 3, but 1. And then he gave up and he blew me off. Every time we try to schedule one, things came up, too busy, whatever. There's no way to do business with him. And then with my attorney got involved, gave him letters, said, this is it. Listen, give me half of it back, 50%, because of what happened. Okay, you gave me the script, fine. Lesson learned, if that's all you're going to do, but it should be the whole amount, because I didn't need a script writer. I'm a script writer. I've done different software, Final Draft and others, and I've written other ones, Broken Crowns, and I've done others that have been well with this software. And I can write, and I've written really well. But what I don't need is someone to lie to me and say this is what they're going to do, and they don't do it. That's a scam. And that's what this is. I'm warning people, do not deal with Steven Gillen with a contract. Even with a contract, he doesn't keep his word. He's out there in London, here in the United States, or he could be in Canada, in Europe, you're going to have issues. Because professionals keep their word. This is what I promise. I'm going to keep my word. We're going to work. You paid me. This is what we're going to do. He didn't do it. And then he shows his true colors. He goes to my Facebook page and insults me and threatens me with legal action when he's the one that's in the wrong here. He's the one that's in the wrong. My attorneys called him up. We explained the timeline. You haven't done anything with it, Steven. You haven't done anything. Do the right thing. You said I wasn't being honorable. You're not being honorable. You're not being an honorable man. Do the right thing, Steven, and return my money. That's the right thing to do.
I'm William Steele, and if you know me, you know that I don't mince words. Today I'm here to talk about Robert Durst. Yeah, that Durst, the multimillionaire murderer who's had America in a chokehold with his crimes and with his cash. I knew Durst. I knew him well enough to write a book about all the sick shit he's done. It's real life, real pain, real death. Horrific planned murders of other people's loved ones, one after the other. I wrote Sex and the Serial Killer, not just as a tell-all expose about the wealthiest serial killer in American history. It was a call to see the beast behind the banter. Durst played us all with his demeanor and his dollars. To those of us who saw the monster up close and personal, we carry a different story. We owe it to the victims and to the truth.
I tell the whole truth. Nobody tells the whole truth.
Very telling it, Bob said. He said, all my life, I've had more money than I could spend, and it didn't make me happy.
She talked on the telephone with her husband, then she vanished, and no one has seen Kathleen Durst since.
Durst was wanted for murder in Texas. He's a suspect for murders in Los Angeles and Westchester County, New York.
He belongs to one of the richest families in New York City. Crazy. He's diabolical.
I believed him from the very beginning.
Mr. Durst? I tell the whole truth. Nobody tells the whole truth.
I wrote Sex and the Serial Killer, not just as a tell-all expose about the wealthiest serial killer in American history. So all these crimes that he committed and admitted to and were recorded in my house in Brooklyn and in ritzy Manalapan, Florida, which is adjoining Palm Beach, are well documented in my book.